Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to a new video today. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys why tactics basically changes the work rates of a player, but the work rates also overplays the tactics that you use, right? So it's a little bit confusing, but the reason why I wanted to explain this video to people was because people are always wondering why certain players were out of position, why certain players would make a certain run, but then they would, basically push out of position. This is all down to the instructions and tactics that you have on your team, right? So when you have players making runs, you're basically deciding whether or not you want to risk a little bit of attacking play and having your players sometimes be out of position so you can have that attacking play, or you sit more defensively where your team is a little bit more organized, where they don't run around like headless chickens, right? Every formation in FIFA is in an organized state, right? Especially if you put on your custom tactics to basically be unorganized, right? If you keep it unorganized, the team will be organized. Now, the tactics that you use, I think the word, people try to tell me that a complement was the right term to use for the other video where I'm explaining what type of midfielders I like and dislike. But for this video, I think contradict is the best one, because I think contradict is the best word to use, because sometimes you'll tell a player to stay back while attacking, but then their work rates will contradict that, and the tactics will contradict those work rate or that instruction because of their work rates and all those kind of things. So I'm explaining to you guys why that happens, right? And I'll probably make a separate video explaining custom tactics as well, if that's something that you guys are interested in. You guys were also interested in something with the dribbling as well. I wasn't really too sure what you guys meant by that, so if you guys can explain a little bit more what you guys wanted with that, I'll definitely look into it. But for custom tactics, right, the biggest thing with players making runs and always pushing out of position is 100% down to chance creation, right? So with chance creation, that's for the attacking play. If you have your passing on high, not necessarily high, but 62, your players will make those runs based off their instructions and their work rates, right? So let's just say you have your passing all the way to 100, right? If you put your passing all the way to 100, the instructions of putting stay back while attacking right here for attacking support on your CDMs will depend on the work rates of the player, right? In terms of whether they will run up or not. Because 100 means that these guys are going to bullet forward, right? They're going to make these crazy runs. And if you have your custom tactics set to have a lower shooting, but be in better positions for shooting, then that means they'll just make runs in the middle, essentially, right? Because the crossing will happen for wing play. So it'll push your wingers out, and it'll make your fullbacks make those runs depending on the instructions. And we'll get into that a little bit, right? So if you have your passing to 100, the work rates will take into effect. So let's just say I'm actually using Bakayoko as a CDM, right? If I'm using Bakayoko as a CDM and his work rates are medium, he's going to make those runs forward, right? Because medium, there's a balance there. There's a balance of either the plane deciding to be more attacking or defensive oriented. Because he has more defensive stats, he has more of a self-awareness that he needs to be more of a CDM than an attacking player. If you guys ever use Bakayoko on your teams, if you have like a cheap squad, you'll notice that when you use him as a CDM and, because of his medium work rates, if you have like normal custom tactics, right? When I say normal, I mean like, let's just put it at to 65, and then we'll put the crossing to 35. This is if you switch to like a 4-1-2-2, because you don't want to do too much crossing. You want everything to be based off of the middle. So you would use like custom tactics like 35 crossing, or even like 25 crossing. Like you probably don't want to do any crossing. You don't want your fullbacks to push forward. So you just have it at 25 crossing, 65 passing, and 55 shooting. So if you have custom tactics like this, Bakayoko will still attack sometimes because he's medium work rates. But someone like Laurent Blanc will decide to stay back more because of the tactics, right? Being at 65, again, the players are going to contradict the work rates that they have and the instructions that you have on them. If you have it at a balanced state, right? I would even consider a 55 or a 60 at a balanced state. I would say 55 is more of the balance. You could put 50, but then your chance creation or your attacking runs and your defensive play is going to be a little bit like out of the sorts, essentially, right? So if you put it to like 55 or 60, you'll have more. Oh, and also with organized, you'll have more of a balance between your players actually playing CDMs. So with this formation right here, we're actually going to go ahead and copy this team, right? And I'm going to show you guys something right here, okay? So in-game, the reason why I made the Xbox team like this is because in-game I wanted to switch to the 4-2-3-1. And you guys will probably wonder why I want to use the 4-2-3-1. I want to use the 4-2-3-1 because I've noticed with my attacking or my defensive play that when I use a 4-1-2-2, I'm just way too vulnerable at the back, right? I don't like being vulnerable at the back because my players decide to not push back quick enough. You can see on the bench that I have players like Vidal and I have a player like Goretzka. Goretzka in form is really good if you're using a 4-1-2-2 bracket 2 as a center mid. I don't like him at all as a defensive mid player. I'd rather much have Bakayoko because Bakayoko actually feels like he's being a CDM because he's more defensive oriented than someone like Goretzka. Goretzka is not a CDM type player. He's a type of player that's going to push forward, right? You could put a shadow card on that to help a little bit, but he's still going to push forward because of the high work rates. Medium is more of a balance of, okay, I'll attack kind of, but I'm going to stay back too, right? It's medium is a very good balance for a CDM, but high, for me personally, I don't like it because when you have high, if I have custom tactics like this, by the way, you would have to change this a little bit to maybe like 40 crossing, shooting, passing would have to be maybe at like 58 or something like that. Keep it on organized because 4-2-3-1, you want the CDMs, left mids, and right mids to be in the position. And then if it's not working out, free form in game to see if they move around, right? So, like I said, the video was trying to explain to you guys like the work rates and the custom tactics. So, the reason why I got Bakayoko back into the team, and I'm probably going to put Shadow on Laurent Blanc again, is because the main focal point of your team is your CDMs, and I don't like when my midfield is out of position, because if my midfield is out of position, you're basically telling your opponent, hey, come score easy goals on me, right? So the thing that I like about this formation and certain players that I use in the formation is that if I have come back to on defense with the left mid and right mid, it's what makes this formation so great because now you have two players supporting the sides when they're going forward and coming back. Now, we're going to look at the different work rates, right? Gabriel Jesus has high work rates. Neymar has high medium work rates. Now, we're going to look at the custom tactics. The custom tactics is set to 58 passing, crossings 40, and shootings 55. So, the player who's going to come back more to defend is going to be Gabriel Jesus, right? He's the player that's going to come back more to defend. Neymar will come back, but he'll come back after a while, right? You want the players to come back quicker depending on the person that you're facing. This formation, again, is very, defensive oriented, right? But it's a proper formation to use in order for you to face people in this game because of how, I would say, poor defensively the 4-1-2-2 is. Like I started to notice this recently, where when I'm using the 4-1-2-2, the CDM is usually the only person there, and then when I was using like Vidal and Goretzka, they would take forever to come back, and that's due to me having 4-1-2-2 with free form on the formation instead of organized, so they can stay in their positions and not run like headless chickens essentially. The thing is, guys, is that everything contradicts each other, right? Everything, it's either contradicts or complements, whatever word you'd like to use. But I think in this situation, contradicts is definitely the best word to use. Everything contradicts each other. So these two CDMs, right, with these custom tactics, they're going to stay back more than if I were to have like 70 passing and like, 60 crossing and 55 shooting with freeform. If you do something like that, you're going to have more attacking presence. That is true. You're going to have more attacking presence. But your attacking presence will make it unbalanced for your defensive presence, right? So someone will just be able to go on a quick counter against you because your CDMs will sometimes be out of positions, right? So yeah, it's inconsistent. This is what happens, that it turns into an inconsistent behavior with the players when you have your tactics to be more attacking, but you have your defensive mids to be more defensive, right? So when they contradict each other, because your custom tactics are so high up in the passing and the crossing and the speed of the build-up play, they're gonna push up more than anything, right? So again, when you have players on the right mid side and the left mid side that have high work rates, they're gonna come back and defend, right? With the cam, I have Suarez right now because I just love how he's so consistent with finishing. I hate using players that are not consistent with finishing. So because he's such a good finisher in this game, I do love using him as a cam. But he's lacking in the pace and he's lacking in the work rates. I would love to have a player that is, let's just say I would get like Ruud Gullit in his position, right? A Ruud Gullit card that's I believe the 88 that has like the pace, the dribbling, the shooting, the passing, the defending, the physical, all of those, right? It would be so beautiful because the cam actually defends for you, right? And it's nice when the cam defends for you because you have the presence of 2 CDMs, a center mid, and your left mid and right mid coming back to help and support your back four. So the only thing that's missing with Suarez really is the pace and the work rates for him to be a nice cam. The work rates wouldn't be that much of an issue if it was Gullit though, because Gullit has defensive stats to come back and he has the pace to come back and defend. So if I have him on, let's just say for your cam, you either have him on stay forward or you have him on come back on defense. The defensive support that you use, depending on the tactics that you, and I know that sometimes this is going to be like a little bit confusing for everybody, but the instructions that you use with the tactics that you use, that the work rates that you use, right, will contradict everything. So if you have, again, you have your custom tactics to be on 70, 60, and 55, right? They're going to make more attacking runs. So if you put an instruction like stay forward on Luis Suarez, that's what he's going to do because your tactics are so attacking oriented, he's going to stay up there. But now you're going to leave that gap in the middle in terms of defending. So what I tend to do with Suarez, right, is that in game, I actually ask him to come back and defend. The reason why I ask him to come back and defend is because of his work rates. Because his work rates are high medium, he will contradict the instructions that I'm asking him to do because he's a high medium work rated player, so he'll push up more than he'll stay back. Also, because of the custom tactics that I'll probably use. So I'll probably use my custom tactics to be like 58 passing and the crossing to be like maybe 43 or 44 so that I can have a little bit of width on the sides in terms of attacking, right? Because you don't want to be completely center oriented when you're using a wide formation. Custom tactics don't always work the same for all the formations. Sometimes you have to change the custom tactics so it fits that formation better, right? So if I'm using tactics like this, right, and it's still kind of attacking oriented, my Suarez will still come back and defend because of the comeback on defense aspect about him. The same thing will happen with Neymar, but Gabriel Jesus will actually push back and defend. But, you know, being 5'9" isn't necessarily the best thing to have because he's short, so he's not going to really intercept or do much tackling-wise, but he'll put the pressure on the players, and he'll still attack really well because, you know, with the Hunter stab boost, it'll make his finishing better, and it'll make his pace better, so he'll just run like a speed demon, so it'll be really good in that aspect too. So we covered the CDMs, we covered the cams, we covered the left mids and right mids. Now to cover the strikers. So sometimes people say, right, that, you know, the strikers, the instructions on the strikers, the general thing that everyone uses, right, is either, I think it's get in behind and press the back line, right? And the reason why people do that is because they want to put the pressure on the defenders so that when you're attacking, your striker is pushing the back four farther back, and your left mid and right mid will be able to do the work on the sides or cut inside depending on the instructions that you're using, right? So with my striker in a 4-2-3-1, what I tend to do in the beginning of the game is I don't touch him, right? And let's just say in a 4-2-3-1. It always depends on the opponent that you're facing, right? So sometimes you'll notice that when you don't do anything with him, his movement around the pitch is pretty decent. Sometimes he pushes out wide, sometimes he doesn't. But then sometimes you'll notice that you actually always want him in the middle. You don't want him to push off to the sides. And this, again, this really depends on the type of pressure that your opponent is putting on your players. So if your opponent is putting a lot of pressure on your left mids and right mids, it's actually nice to keep your striker unbalanced, because what your striker will do is he'll push off to the sides so you can turn around and make that pass to the sides, but then you're lacking the striker up there, so someone else will replace Ronaldo, like Suarez or Neymar or whatnot, right? So in the beginning, I tend to keep it unbalanced. I don't change that until I notice that I want specific things, right? So if I notice that I really want my Ronaldo to push against the defense, because he's by himself. This is the problem with this formation, is that he's by himself. But again, defensively, it's very nice. He's by himself. So if you tell him to get in behind and press the back line, he's just going to chill up there all alone, right? Your left mid and right mid are not going to be really close to him to support him. So when he's doing that, you need to have instructions and tactics that work with the instructions that you're putting on the striker. So let's just say, for instance, I was explaining this in the 4-2-3-1 tutorial videos, that if you're putting get in behind and press the back line Ronaldo, he's by himself up there. He has no support. So when you do that, right, if you want him to do that, to put the pressure on the back four, you can tell your left mid and your right mid to cut inside, right, and get in behind. So when you do the cut inside and get in behind, let's see, which one is it right here? Cut inside and get in behind. They will push towards Ronaldo as he's putting the pressure. So what will happen, right, is that because your left mids are cutting inside, you can probably lay off the ball to them as they're running into the box, right? Because Ronaldo's putting the pressure on the defenders. You do a driven pass to Ronaldo, your left mid and right mids are going to bullet at him in order for him to, you know, lay the ball off in order for you to get a long shot or whatnot, right? It depends on the situation, again, when you're playing against your opponent, right? So the instructions for the striker, again, contradict depending on his work rate. So Ronaldo, as you guys know, is high-low. High-low is beautiful to have for a striker because you want your striker to be a striker. But sometimes when you have your work rates on high, which I've noticed sometimes when I'm using Gabriel Jesus, even though he has get in behind and press the back line against the attackers, because he has high defensive work rates, he doesn't go back all the way, but he lingers in the midfield, right? Because of those high defensive work rates, which is nice to have because I'm a more defensive oriented player. Like, I can attack well, but I like not conceding goals because my players are not, I don't like conceding goals when my players are not in their positions. So I like to have them in their positions. So if it lacks more in the attacking aspect, I have to figure that out as I'm attacking, right? But again, someone like Gabriel Jesus, if you play him as a cam or a striker, wouldn't recommend playing him as a cam, by the way. He doesn't play really well there. But as a striker, he does linger in the midfield more often, right? And sometimes when I'm using a 4-1-2-2, what I actually tend to do with the strikers is I will tell them to act like a false nine. And when they act like a false nine, it actually works out really nicely because they basically play like a midfielder. So if you notice that your Ronaldo is so high up there, right? If you play him on a false nine, right? And you have the custom tactics to be like this, where the passing's 58, the crossing's 44, 55 shooting with organized, they will try to organize a passing play like their midfielders. Essentially kind of like Barcelona back in the day, or not Barcelona, but Spain back in the day when they didn't use a striker, but they just try to build up the play. The striker would play as a false nine, so he would essentially play similar to a midfielder, and that's how you would build up the play, all in the middle, all in the middle. So if you don't want your striker to be so high up there, but you wanna move your defenders with your attackers forward all balanced, it'll be nice to have your striker on false nine. I sometimes use false nine on the 4-2-3-1 when I notice that my Ronaldo is way too high up there, and he needs the support of the midfielders in order for him to attack better. So yeah, that's with the strikers. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. I don't think there's anything else. So I just wanted to make this video to show you guys that your work rates and your instructions and your tactics all contradict each other. Oh, the fullbacks and the center backs, almost forgot to do those ones. So the center backs, most ideal work rates to have in your center backs is always, it always depends, right? So it's actually really interesting with the fullbacks, with the back four nowadays, because if you have your custom tactics to be low pressure, low aggression, and low team width, having a player like Bai is a beautiful thing because he's medium high work rates and he's a very good center back in the game. Same thing goes for someone like Valencia, right? Because if you have crossing set to 44, but your tactics on him is stay back while attacking, while he also has high work rates, he actually plays really nicely as a right back, usually staying back there unless his instructions have balanced, which in that case, because of 44 crossing, he will sometimes make those runs forward, and it'll leave you vulnerable at the back, but you'll have more of an attacking presence, right? So sometimes you take that risk, right? So with the center backs, I even have Boateng, which is medium. Again, very nice to have a Boateng when your tactics are kind of a low pressure, low aggression, because he has medium work rates. Kind of the same thing with like Bakayoko, right? When they have the medium work rates, it kind of balances out really nicely. Alaba has high medium work rates, but with Shadow, he plays really well. He's a speed demon with Shadow. This Alaba card runs super fast when you put a Shadow card on him. It's ridiculous, right? So I enjoy using him a lot. Even though he's high medium, sometimes he'll be caught out of position. He attacks way more than Valencia does because of the high medium work rates. But Alaba does come back on defense really quickly. And that's not because of his work rates. I think that's because of his general defensive capabilities that makes him come back. So he's still a very nice left back to have. I would personally prefer to have an Alexandro because, again, high work rates is something I prefer more. I want them to push back themselves rather than me having to go and control that player to push him back into position and do all those things, right? So, again, those are the reasons why your instructions, your tactics, and your work rates all contradict each other. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. If you guys did enjoy these types of videos, I've been doing these types of videos a lot because people have somewhat been enjoying them. So if you guys do like it, be sure to drop a thumbs up on it. Let me know what type of videos you guys want to see. I was mentioning in the video earlier where you guys wanted to see dribbling tutorial, but I didn't really know exactly what you guys meant. Did you guys mean on the attacking or the build-up? I didn't really know. If you guys have any other ideas or stuff that you'd like to know, or stuff that bothers you in the game where I can explain to you guys why I dislike it or why I like it, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'll see you guys later. Peace.